Okay. All right, this is going to be a demonstration to do your clip mask exercise. So I'm going to have you do two things in class for today. And more than likely, you'll probably spend, you'll probably spend like most of the class doing this. But basically, we're going to do like a drawing of a 3D sphere. And then we're going to do a drawing of the Azaro head. All right, so I separated these all into different layers. I'm actually going to give you guys the same file that I'm using here. This is just in case you want to move your pictures left and right, depending on if you're left or right-handed. So just to make things easier for me, though, I'm going to move everything on the my pictures on the right side because I'm left-handed. So obviously, if you're right-handed, you want to flip it the other way around. Okay. But flip it in the direction that's like easier for you because you don't want to have your hand in the way when you're doing your drawing. So. All right, so I'm actually going to just flip it the other way just to, it's just a little easier for me. Okay, so first thing I want to do, though, is we're just going to do a drawing of this 3D sphere. So, if you were to just kind of like traditionally draw this 3D sphere, this is like not giving you like any direction with how to draw it. It's really hard to just kind of just draw it as is, and then especially when you're doing like the specific values in the inside the circle, like this is actually like really hard to do if you were to do this. One thing you can do though is you can click on your finger and drag around. This is going to create the eyedrop tool. But if I were to like kind of render this 3D sphere without a clipping mask, it's really hard to do because I had to worry so much about keeping the the marks that I'm making within the circle. Okay, so something like this though is like really hard to do if you were to just do it like traditionally, if you didn't have like, any of the tools in the program to use. So, we're not going to be doing it this way. So I'm going to show you how to do this with clipping masks. So, okay, but in terms of like brushes, I actually like using the gouache brush in terms of like value and shading. But I would just find like your mid-tone and just to save some time though, we're just gonna eyedrop the colors that we need. So I'm going to use like a mid-gray. I'm going to, whoops, a little too big. I'm gonna draw a circle, for my sphere. Real simple. So do this on a separate layer. I don't know if this is on, this is on this another layer. So I'm gonna click plus to create a new layer. And I'm just gonna make a circle here. And just use like that gray tone. So we got our circle here. And maybe do like a couple different marks on there so it's like a solid circle you have here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a clipping mask. So to create a clipping mask though, we're going to create another layer on top of it, and then we're going to click on the picture itself and then do clipping mask. So there's going to be an arrow that's going to go down in the circle, and then we're going to shade like the values within the circle. So I'm going to take my lightest values, just like a light gray up here. And one thing you'll notice though with the clipping mask though, it's going to stay within the in the sphere stuff, so I don't have to worry about it going out of the sphere. So we can do that dark lighter value. We can go to the darkest dark, and kind of go into that. So one nice thing about the clipping mask though is I can actually use like a pretty big brush. So if you really want to try like create like that transition from like the light to dark, it's going to show up a lot better with the bigger brush that you use. So, even if I wanted to use like, just like a brighter highlight, it's going to allow me to make that, get that value that I want. So, I'm just going to drop the darks here. So, and then this is how you would go about with shading your sphere. So, you don't have to spend too much time on it though, but just kind of get in the practice of just using clipping masks for like shading like certain areas. So okay, so we have like that sphere there. We're gonna create another layer. We're gonna do it below your bottom layer. So oops, I'm gonna do that. Let me put it below it. I'm gonna click on plus, and then we're gonna do like your darkest, your cast shadow here. So this one we can make smaller because we just need just the cast shadow. So you can just draw this out on the bottom here. I'm gonna go real dark with it. So that's kind of the one issue with like the painterly brushes though. You have to press harder to get more lines. You can use the eraser, go with the same brush, and I'll just use that to just, you know, refine the edges. Okay, so I'm not gonna take too much time on this though, but you know, you kind of get the idea though. You just want to just practice a 3D, you know, 3D sphere. Okay. So this is what I want you to spend more of your time on though, working on this Azaro head. So this is what's gonna probably take like more of the time to do. I feel like you'll probably get the most out of this. So don't spend too long on this though. Just kind of get the idea of like doing the sphere, you know, putting a layer behind it for like your cast shadow. You know, this is fine. I'd rather you kind of just jump into the Azaro head. So for this particular assignment, I have the drawing done for you, but all you're going to do is just shade those different values. So what's nice about your reference photos is, you know, if you want to change like the reference photo into like black and white, you know, you could, you know, click on the image, you can click on adjustments, I'll click on, yeah, adjustments here, and you know, you literally can change it into black and white. So there's actually a gradient map you can use for black and white. You can also use like different other gradients too if you want to mess with it. This is like if you want to just stick with black and white though. And then, you know, and then you can kind of just like, you know, eye drop the values that you need, especially if you have like really good lighting in your picture. So like, you know, there's a gray right here. I can color that part in gray. Okay, and you know, I'd probably make a new layer on top. So don't forget to make a new layer. So, you know, I just kind of changing like general values. So this is like a gray here. That's kind of interesting. I didn't know that did that. So I'm actually gonna use a different brush, or actually I gotta move this up here. So I'm gonna put it on top of that layer. So that way I can cover up my pencil marks. Okay, and then this is like the one application you would probably use your clipping masks for. So like right here, you see how there's like a transition from, you know, like this lighter gray over here. Should I do this in red? Like there's like a lighter gray over here into like a darker gray. So that'd be kind of really hard to shade that value in, but you know, if we're using clipping masks though, yeah, that makes it a lot easier. So I can add another layer on top, do a clipping mask, and you know, then we can kind of shade this lighter gray that's on here. So, you know, these are like the application cases where you would use clipping masks. So you see I was staying like within the, you know, the values that we're working on. And this is like if you have any slight shifts or gradations in your drawings that you're doing. And, you know, you're going to always have these slight gradation changes. You know, it's like, it's kind of a given. It's like always going to happen. So, you know, you just want to make sure to, you know, make good use of like those gradient masks. But in terms of like this assignment itself though, and every time you make a clipping mask though, it's recommended that you just add another layer on top, because if I were to like work on this other part here, and I got my clipping mask on, like I can't actually color in on that area. So you have to always make a new layer on top. So, you know, as you're working though, you're gonna have like a bajillion layers on here. And, you know, that's okay though, you know, because, you know, these iPads can handle like a lot of those layers pretty well. So this would be like more of like a highlight white. So you notice it's like a little bit of a darker gray here. So I'm gonna actually use that darker gray. Yeah, color that in there. Looks like a similar gray there. And then I'm gonna do the clipping mask again too. And don't worry about the, you know, coloring. It's like between the lines. I'm gonna go a little bit off of it. So, I'm gonna use another clipping mask. So, yeah, just be careful though if you're using like these brushes though. You have to make sure it's colored in all the way. Otherwise, it may not show up well. We have like another clipping mask on top, plus clipping mask. Then we can do like that nice little transition from, this light gray. I can't show you because I got a clipping mask on here. It's light gray to like this highlight there. And, it's really easy to get like confused on your layers. I can get like a bigger brush. Just go over like bam, like this. So there's not really too many areas you would need to do this in, but definitely a nice little touch in terms of details for your practice's arrowhead. In most cases though, like you'll probably end up doing it like this, where you'll find the value. I might actually flip it the other way. Hopefully it flips properly. It's probably easier to work in this direction, but you just work on your drawing. And I'm not really too nitpicky on like drawing the colors as is. So I might use a different brush. That's getting a little too transparent. Let me try this old brush. So definitely use a brush that you feel comfortable with. So seeing some darker values here. So if you want to, you can just start blocking in those areas that those dark values in. So I'm not a big fan of that brush. I'll just stick with it. I just feel like those brushes you can't really control. It's like it gives it more of like a artist feel to it. You can kind of go in like any order that you want. If you want to just go in like specific spots right here. And there's kind of a reason why I decided to paint and gradate the areas. So you can kind of go like in any direction that you want. Try to get like lighter gray. It's a darker gray over here. Yeah, I just want you to just kind of practice to see these different shifts in values. Because, when you guys do like your drawings of the heads, especially if you're adding a lot of detail to it, you're going to see these same transitions in lights and darks and values as you're working. If you have like a general idea of like where your values are, where they fall, it's like, naturally, you'll be thinking about these things already when you do your drawing of the head. Kind of like under the eye, it's usually a little bit darker. Oh, this is like a perfect time to use a clipping mask right here for like the eyeball. So I'm just gonna click on the plus here. So anytime you need a clipping mask, I'll just click on the plus. So just gonna draw a sphere for the eyeball here. Kind of a little extreme with the sphere here. That's because of the brush. A clipping mask on here. And I would just kind of stick with the same brush. I wouldn't go too crazy with the brushes. Just find like a brush that you feel comfortable with. It doesn't have to exactly match the picture. It's darker up here. There's a little bit of like a darker gray on the bottom. And, just a slight highlight like in the middle. But, this is all rendered in the eye though. So actually, let me go over the dark again. Yeah, just to get that look going. Okay, I'm making another layer on top. So you'll just keep working on this though. I just want you to just kind of practice your values, your lights and darks. This will take a bit of time to do. But, You know, as arrowhead's like a really good reference for like, you know, where you want your values to fall on the face. How you want like the shapes to look. Yeah, it's gonna show like those areas of like reflected light. See, this part's got white here. Okay. Yeah, just work on that for today though. I did want a little bit further ahead. You know, as you're working, though, it's gonna look kind of like this. And I kind of just stuck with these colors. You know, you don't have to make it black and white if you want to just stick with specific colors. And you know, I would just color up all those lines. Should have like a nice little value study once you're done. You know, I'll post a more finished version of this if I have time to work on it. But yeah, you want to just, you know, shade this till completion though. All right.